Welcome to the Hockey Writers Blackhawks Banter, a weekly show with our top Chicago Blackhawks writing crew, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From training camp to the playoffs, from Chelsea Dagger to the Madhouse on Madison, our team covers everything that happens with the Hawks. So get comfortable, grab a beverage. It's time for some Blackhawks Banter. Blackhawks Banter.
Hello, hockey fans, and welcome to episode 81 of Blackhawks Banter, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. That's right, it's the Marian Hossa episode. The Marian Hossa, who won 3 Stanley Cups in his esteemed 19-season career. We all know he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's officially retired as a Blackhawk. Number 81 is going to be raised to the rafters beginning of next season. That's really exciting. And we know that for some way, shape, or form, he's probably going to be in the Blackhawks organization soon. So, of course, I wanted to give his fair and deserved tribute to our episode 81 Marian Hossa. But that is only the beginning of this great, awesome episode, because we are thrilled to have Phil Thompson here with us, beat writer from the Chicago Tribune. Welcome to the show, Phil.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Gail.
You are absolutely welcome. We're happy to have you. And of course, my lovely partner in crime, Brooke, LoFurno, is with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for this episode.
I know. It should be fun. It should be fun. Okay, well, and y'all know I'm Gail Kauchak. I'll be your host tonight. And we've got lots of off-season topics to discuss. So let's get started first with the entry-level draft, which is on July 7th and 8th. Unless there's some changes made or some deals made, as of right now, Blackhawks do not have a first round pick, but they will have 5 picks in the second and third rounds, number 38, 57, 81, 90, and 94. And then they also have number 167, 173 in the 6th round, and 199, pick 199 in the 7th round. So Phil, my question for you is, what have you heard out there about how the Blackhawks are handling their draft picks, or even, somebody that they might be targeting?
Well, I think the word out to everyone, everyone knows that the Blackhawks are going after speed this offseason, whether it comes through free agency or it comes to the draft. And, I don't think it's any secret, guys fall all the time, and if a certain person falls, I'm not clairvoyant, but I would be really surprised if David Goyette falls and Kyle Davidson doesn't take him. David Goyette from the Sudbury Wolves. Kyle Davidson being from Sudbury and very proud of Sudbury. And then Goyette also having the speed that Davidson covets. There's no way in God's green earth, I think that Davidson is passing on this guy if he falls down there, and certainly not passing on a guy that had 33 goals in his first season with the Wolves.
All right, cool. That's an awesome prediction. We'll see if this happens. And obviously you're right. It depends upon if he's available and where that all falls. And they're too far down to truly even know, but obviously I'm sure they have to have that kind of a game plan. Brooke, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the upcoming draft?
I've been studying the draft a little bit the past few days, and to be honest, I'm not overly excited about it, but usually the drafts that you're not always very excited about are the ones that you find the most hidden gems. So maybe the Blackhawks can find some hidden gems in the later rounds, depending on how they pick. But I agree with Phil about the speed thing. I know they said they were targeting speed, and I would love to see speed. As a Blackhawks fan, they need that desperately. Obviously, you see the Avalanche speed, so I'm all about that. They need it. Let's hope they target it.
Yeah, I think another name to look out for is center Marco Kasper. One of the things, he also has speed, but one of the things is he plays net front. He prefers to get his goals from the net front. And we all know that the Hawks had issues with getting offense from the crease, guys willing to bang bodies down there. I'll never forget Dominic Kubalik telling me, hey, that hurts. It takes a conscious effort to do that. I mean, He actually admitted that, which I appreciate, but it's pretty evident during the season.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Hagel, and then you just said a center too. I mean, they definitely could use the center depth as well,
Yes,
or even somebody that could be versatile, be a center and play a wing,
exactly.
and then
Exactly.
that front presence. You bet, being hard to play against and being fast and tough. So yeah, we'll see how it happens. Again, it's too simple to forecast, or it's because they're so deep in it, but. I guess the thing that I would want to, hope that this new regime basically can do a better job, because they haven't in the past done a really good job with their second and third round picks, and that's where the majority of them are. So we'll see as the next couple of years unwind. What's that?
Can I interject something too as well? I was having a conversation with Norm McIver, who is one of Kyle Davidson's associate GMs. And
Yes.
I mean, he was really reluctant to talk about the previous administration, but he finally acknowledged that there was a little too much emphasis placed on skill. I mean, there are a lot of elements. Skill is great to have, but you have to have speed to go with it. You can't be a defensive liability. And he seemed to intimate that that defensive end kind of went for naught because there was such an emphasis on getting all these skill guys.
Interesting, right? Like
Yeah.
you need to have like the all-around package, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
And pinpointing that doesn't seem to have worked real well with, like you said, the old regime. We'll see if they can. The new regime can make some changes in regards to that. All right, great. Next topic, I'd like to just touch on free agency. We got notable restricted free agents, numerous: Kirby Dach, Dylan Strome, Dominic Kubalik, Philip Kurashev, and Caleb Jones. So as of July 11th is the deadline for restricted free agents to get qualifying offers. Phil, what are your thoughts on who might receive a qualifying offer, or who the Blackhawks might let walk?
Well, I think we know Kirby Dach for sure. And I believe Kurashev will probably get an offer, particularly because of his age, and he's just kind of low key, and the coaches were high on him. The players were high on him. He's got some versatility as well, some room to grow. However, I wonder, whether they would let Caleb Jones, walk. I think they're just kind of ambivalent about him. I didn't hear them talking him up a lot, particularly this current regime versus Bowman. And then with Dominic Kubalik and Dylan Strome, there are two guys with ARB rights, arbitration rights. And Kyle Davidson has kind of hinted that he wants to conserve money. These guys are over, they're 25 or, going into their 26th or 27th year of age. Potentially getting, a raise on arbitration contracts. And I don't think, Davidson thinks that those guys will fit his timeline, especially for the money. That's just, he's given no indication that he won't start, but I think, if he lets them go to unrestricted free agency, I think that's a strong indication that he's not looking to continue their tenure with the Blackhawks, especially Kubalik, who had a down year.
Yeah, I'm thinking Kubalik is probably out. I'm so intrigued by what's going to happen with Dylan Strome. I really am, because he could be a nice piece, and it all depends. We'll talk a little bit later too about Alex DeBrincat and all that too. So, okay, that's interesting. Definitely Kurashev, it sounds like, and because he's cheap too. That's another thing. He could be signed for pretty cheap, being young and all that. Okay.
And let me just throw one more thing in there real quick. Also think about those guys didn't really have a trade market. At least that one that emerged, you didn't hear anybody.
True.
The Hawks will offer X, Y, and Z for Strome. So, you got to consider that in the calculus in case Davidson needs to pivot. Would he, if he signed him, would he get anything for him that would make it worth their while?
A lot of traction. Yeah. Which would be another reason maybe to just keep him around, because, who wants him? I don't understand it. Why doesn't anybody want him?
That is the big mystery. I mean, I think there's some talk about, him only just showing that he's not a liability on the defensive end, that he's not a liability with puck possession. And I think there are a lot of people think we can find a lot of Dylan Strome's other places that won't cost us draft capital. So.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm most intrigued about. But I know I wanted to actually ask Brooke now in regards to unrestricted free agents. Calvin Hahn, Erik Gustafsson, Kevin Lankinen, and Colin Delia are the most notable. And so, Brooke, I wanted to ask you, because I know that you've been really high on him in the past. Do you see a scenario where defenseman Erik Gustafsson comes back to the Blackhawks next season?
I'm so high on Erik Gustafsson. I'm his biggest fan. I think I gave him an F on my defense grades. Oops.
I just had to play that joke on you.
I know. But okay, so I honestly don't. I don't see a scenario where he comes back. And it's not just because of what I just said. It's just because I swear it's not because of that. Here's the thing. Gustafsson can be good in some ways, but he's just kind of defensively, he's just kind of been so have had a lot of bad moments. But I will say I don't think he will come back. They have 14 defensemen under contract next year. I think they want to give some more time to the younger defensemen in the pipeline, Kalynuk, Ian Mitchell, those kinds of players. So, but then again, Erik Gustafsson's kind of been like a boomerang. You think the Blackhawks are done with him and then he comes back. So who knows? But I truly don't see him returning because of the logjam.
I'm going to have to steal that, Brooke. A boomerang. It would have been. That terminology would have been particularly handy during the Bowman years.
Yeah, it would have actually.
Yeah, how about all the retreads too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But well, wouldn't it just be ironic if they were like, I know that they've stressed that they don't want to rush the prospects. So you could see that that. Well, we're keeping him around kind of for insurance. I wouldn't say that, but I agree. I don't think Gustafsson's going to be around.
Yeah,
might be wishful, but I don't know.
Poor guy. He's a good guy.
I know.
Sure, but
yeah, I know. He seems like a good guy. Sorry, it's not personal.
Yeah, I would say that he was a polarizing figure among Blackhawks fans, but I didn't find enough proponents of Erik Gustafsson to use the terminology polarizing.
Yeah.
Fair or not, I think people are harder on him than they probably have called to be, but that's just me.
Yeah.
That's true. True.
I agree with that for sure.
Yeah. Real quick before we get into our next topic, I would like to just mention the goalies. We talked about both free agents with Delia and Lincoln, and it would be really tough to throw them into a rebuild, and it would hurt their I think development if they were expected to play behind a defense and a team that isn't all that good. So I'm also interested to see what they'll do with that situation. I see one of them getting signed, like maybe Lincoln, and then signing a more veteran netminder to kind of be tandem and take some of that pressure off of him. I don't know who it would be or how that would all evolve, but I see that happening. I don't know. Would you agree, you guys?
I would. Your guess is as good as mine. Who it would be? I mean, there are a few goalie situations where there's a young, really good backup goalie that the Hawks could go after. But it all depends on what timeline Davidson has in his mind. Especially if we're going to be talking later about DeBrincat. I think if he's willing to part with DeBrincat, then he's got a really long timeline in mind, in my estimation. And so maybe if you have that kind of mindset, you're going to go with a Lankinen and just any veteran that you can find cheaply, and just see what happens. Especially when you're trying to get you're in the Connor Bedard. Yeah, you're in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes anywhere you're trying to be. So, sometimes you have to connect the dots a little bit. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I'm saying. If things unfold a certain way this summer, then I don't think they're certainly going to spend for a goalie, not draft capital, not money.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. All right, you guys, we're about halfway through the show, so I am obligated to do our mid-show reminders. Want to remind you about the Hockey Writers weekly newsletter. It comes out Monday through Friday. It's free. You go to morningskate.io, and basically all your news and updates in the hockey world. It's a great little newsletter. Doesn't take too long to read, and it's just got awesome tidbits. So if you haven't done that already, please sign up for that. It's lots of fun. And Phil already hinted that we are wanting to talk, obviously, about the hot topic this past week, which is the Alex DeBrincat trade rumors. Numerous reports that he's on the trade block, for many different reasons. What do you think, Phil? Do you think this is going to happen?
I think it depends. I think it certainly could happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Davis and King walked in the door saying that no one was untouchable. And, honestly, I can't speak for all the beat writers, but I think a lot of us thought, oh, yeah, everybody except DeBrincat, obviously.
Right.
And then when you hear DeBrincat's name come up, well, okay. I mean, because people thought Hagel was probably untouchable. And, certainly when you see what Hall Davidson got for Hagel, the price for DeBrincat is going to have to be very high, or it's going to raise some questions if you don't get at least what Hagel drew, in my opinion. So, and again, that kind of resets the timeline on the lengthier end if they're going to do that.
Right. Absolutely. What do you think, Brooke?
Do you know what? I'm kind of with you guys about you don't think those players will get traded, but after Panarin got traded, I honestly am the same way now. I'm kind of like, okay, anyone can get moved. I do see it happening. In my opinion, I do. I think the Blackhawks have been open about wanting to get that first round pick, and DeBrincat's the one player that could probably garner a first round pick in this year's draft. So I do see it happening, as painful as it is to hear, but I get the proponents of it. He's going to be do a big contract, and I don't know if the Hawks want to spend that on him, especially knowing that they need to rebuild, and he'll be getting older too. And will his best years be behind him in a rebuild kind of situation? There's a lot of questions there. So I see it happening for sure. Like I said, Panarin can go. If Hagel could go, DeBrincat certainly could be on the move. You never know, as painful as it is.
Yes. Yeah. But it would have to be a king's ransom, I think.
Yeah. Understood. I see multiple first round picks in a package for him for sure.
Yeah.
Multiple first round. Well, yeah, right. And that second overall from the Devils, that would be lovely.
Yeah,
but
that would be lovely. Yes, it would.
Again, I get it. I totally get it that if they're going to get, like you said, a king's ransom, if they're going to get the right, I think the Hagel trade was the right thing to do. It was tough to see Hagel go, but they got a really, really good return for him. And I could see Davidson doing the same thing, obviously, with DeBrincat and kind of restarting that rebuild. But then on the other side of the coin, DeBrincat has become quite the face of the franchise in many different ways, and a core player, and he sells tickets. They're selling his smile left and right, So I think that it would hurt the Blackhawks in the short run, like ticket wise, money wise. I really don't want to see it happen, but that's just your heart kind of speaking. It's not really the business side of things.
I mean, you brought up something really good, Gail. When you think about the ratings, they're down 31% from the previous season, from the pandemic season. And, attendance was below 20,000 on average for the first time since, I believe, it's like either 2007 or 2008 season. I have to double check my figures on that, but and then, you have an aging Patrick Kane is always going to be a draw, just because he's.
But if DeBrincat goes, will he stay?
Yeah.
And there's going to be some hard decisions and some heartache if they trade. We saw how Jonathan Taves reacted when Hagel was traded, and other guys going back to Robin Leonard. He does not take trades well, especially guys he thinks are quality. Can you imagine what he would say? I will be in the front row with my microphone right up there with Jonathan Toews if that happens, if he's ever made available, because it's going to be a show.
You better get some video of that. I know you're famous for your
Yeah,
video.
exactly. Need a movie.
He's given me some good video before, as we saw when he was talking about the Hagel trade and other moves. So, yeah, thank you.
Brooke, did you want to ask? I think you had a quick question for Phil about the trades.
I was just kind of thinking, because we talk about the people that we've heard in the trade rumors. Obviously, Dominik Kubalik's been in there, Dylan Strome's been in there, DeBrincat's been in there. But so those seems like those could be big possibilities, because where there's smoke, there's fire. But I'm wondering, because everyone on the team is available, have you heard any dark horse names, or in your personal opinion, do you think there could be a dark horse on the Blackhawks that could be traded, even though they're not really mentioned? Kind of like a dark horse.
Yeah, I know they say that Seth Jones is untouchable, but I think only is because they're really kind of locked in with that contract. And I don't think anybody at this point would really want to take that on. I don't know, other than him, that the Hawks really have somebody that that most teams would want. They're kind of top heavy between older veterans and a bunch of young guys. So
yeah.
I mean, did you have a thought about someone in particular, and maybe I can?
Yes, Connor Murphy is who I was mostly thinking
about. Oh yeah.
I just don't know what the trade market would be for him. I mean, they certainly would. I don't think they would be above that. I don't know how much you would get for him, but I could be underestimating his value because he is well regarded, but I don't know if he's in that difference maker tier.
Right.
He's kind of one of those guys that's like an above average, like really solid, awesome, good defenseman, but he's not in that like upper echelon tier where people are, and so he's almost like kind of stuck in the middle there you said, value wise, right?
Yes. Especially outside Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah. And we love Connor Murphy. We talk about him a lot, but like you said, I guess in a rebuild, anyone can go. And I know they love Connor Murphy, but like you said, who knows what the trade market is for him? Who knows? Some player or some teams value players more highly than others. Who knows? But that was someone who I was thinking about for sure because of the player he is. Who knows?
And you need somebody to teach. I mean, this is something that Derek King emphasized over and over again. I mean, you can't just dispatch everyone. Someone's got to teach these young guys. And it can't all be just guys that are, on their way out and kind of mentally checked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Murphy would be a good one. He's already got that A on his sweater.
Exactly.
I'm glad that you brought up Derek King, because that segues right into our next topic, which is the coaching search. Front office has indicated that they would like to have a permanent head coach in place by mid-July, if not sooner, and that Derek King is definitely in the running for that. So Phil, you've got kind of the inside scoop, obviously being in the media room with Derek King and interviewing him and such. Do you think that he would make a good permanent head coach or not?
I think he would. I think he's got the demeanor. And I know there's a significant part of the fan base that is cringing right now because, they want somebody that, has its pedigree and, who is Derek King? He came from the AHL, but they all came from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think the players have responded well to him. That he relaxes the room, but he calls people out when they need to be called out. And he calls them out in a way that they don't hold a grudge against him later. We've certainly seen that, where they just don't like their coach, and any criticism is kind of going to go in one ear out the other.
He knows how to do it, how to play the game.
Yeah, and here's another thing too. If you're not expecting a coach, or team to be competitive for some years, it can kind of be a Renteria type of situation. We saw he managed the Cubs until they got good and they got the person that they wanted. And then he managed the White Sox until they got good. and they brought in somebody they think can bring them over the top. And that could be a kind of role that King has because he's a development guy. We've seen that in Watford.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Mr. King here?
Yeah. Well, Brooke, let's ask you. What do you think? Or do you have someone else in mind that you really would love to have behind the bench there?
I like Derek King. Like you said, I know he's kind of a polarizing figure in Blackhawk fans' minds too, but he is what he is. They're not competing right now. I mean, like you said, would like someone I would love, obviously, a more developed coach or whatever, like when Bruce Cassidy or Pete DeBoer or someone. But honestly, it isn't realistic where the Blackhawks are. It's kind of like where the Red Wings are. They had that Jeff Blashill all through the rebuild, and now they look like they could be going somewhere next year. So now they make a change. So I'm okay with Derek King staying for right now. And I think Riley Stillman said it best too early on when he was like, Derek King is the coach that calls a spade, and that's the kind of guy you want to play your heart out for. The fact that he's still in the running and they really haven't made a decision makes me think he's going to stay. And honestly, I'm okay with that because they're not going anywhere. They're not competing. They can move on later on, maybe when they're ready to compete. But I think he is he's fine, I think, for what they are right now. We saw some positives out of him for sure. And like Phil said, everyone starts somewhere. Quenville started somewhere. DeBoer started somewhere. Trotz started somewhere. I mean, it's okay for right now. I'm okay with it for sure.
And something just real quick I found interesting too is that Davidson seemed to warm to the idea that even if King didn't get the head coaching job, he'd want him in the organization and on the Chicago level, not Rockford necessarily, because there's just something about his way and his insight that Davidson likes. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and he seems likable. Obviously we can say that from a spectator standpoint, but he does seem like a likable guy that could go a long way with the organization and the players as well.
Yes. What do you think about some of the names like Todd Reardon that have come up, Luke Richardson?
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of like tired of the recycling of the high profile pedigree guy. I would love to see someone fresh, like someone, even if they're promoted as an assistant, maybe somebody a little bit outside the box. And if they are going to go that route, I'm not sure about politics and how that all works, but I think that it would probably be highly encouraged by the organization for King to stay on, for Coach King to stay on, even if he's not the head coach, as like an assistant. And of course, that would have to be approved by whoever the head coach. I'm not sure how that would all work, but I think that would be an awesome scenario as well if they are looking to go a different route than King, to still keep him in the fold in some way.
Yeah, I haven't seen this guy's name come up in any of the rumors, so maybe it's just me, but I thought a dark horse was Spencer Carberry, former coach of the Hershey Bears. The Bears did really well under him, and then he came in as an assistant with the Maple Leafs and really revolutionized their power play. Really under the radar type of guy, and I think maybe there's something there, with someone like that. And I agree with you. There's a lot of guys that you can retread, but a lot of them also come with their baggage too.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll know by mid-July, I guess, won't we? And then we have all other things to talk about, who it is and all the implications. All right. Well, we should probably move on. I wanted to touch, since we have Phil here, on the beat writer world. I got to be honest with you. I follow all the beat writers and glean information from everybody. God bless you all, because we at the Hockey Writers don't have the credentials. At least the Blackhawks, we don't. There's a number of that do, other teams, but we wouldn't be able to do what we do and write our articles if we didn't have the help of all you lovely people that do have the access. But I thought, Phil, the one reason I really wanted to have you on the show is because I feel like you're one of the most fun and engaging of everybody out there on Twitter. And so thank you for that. And I guess we just wanted to ask you both, Brooke and I, a couple of questions about what it's like to be in your position. So what would you say is a favorite part of your job, being a beat writer for the Blackhawks?
I think talking to, learning about the people, either the coaches or or players or just, even some of your colleagues.
Yeah.
I'll just kind of give you the quick and dirty of my philosophy with covering sports of any kind is, if it's just about the skill, we could build robots to play these games. We watch it because it's people and we want to learn about the people, what makes them tick, what makes them want to play sports. What are their frustrations? What are their joys? What are their personalities like? And that's my whole reason. The human element is the whole reason to even cover sports.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's about socialization and the human part. Do you have any kind of funny story that you could share? Obviously, without getting any of your colleagues in trouble or getting on the bad side of anyone, but anything fun?
I'm sure I'm forgetting some things.
There's probably a lot.
Yeah, probably on purpose. Anything that's that puts me in a bad light is just kind of gone out of my memory. But I know early, like February, March, I was just joking with Ben Pope of the Sun Times because I was calling him Spicy Ben because he kept throwing these zingers out, and Ben, he's just like low key and mellow as possible, but then he had this unintentional snark that just started to emerge that I really appreciated. I know. And I'm going to mess up the story because I've forgotten some of the details, but there was a time that he was asking Fleury about, mentally dealing with the season. And, Fleury never says anything bad. He tried to put a positive spin on it. And Ben was like, no, you guys have really sucked. How do you feel about that? And Fleury is like, well, thanks a lot, Ben. And that's one of my favorites from the season. And so I just like that, yeah.
There's another side to Ben that none of us really see. Spicy Ben, huh?
Yeah, well, and I've talked to him about it. I don't think he even saw it. It's like, why are you saying like this? I'm like, hey, man, I'm just a observer of human nature, and you've been having these great unintentional zingers lately. I think he's just, maybe that's just part and parcel with covering these Blackhawks is that. You develop a healthy sense of humor and cynicism.
Yeah, we've spoken to Ben Pope before. He was on one of our shows, so yeah, never would have guessed what you just said, but that's funny.
But you think he's just kind of low key and professional, and doesn't ruffle any feathers. All right, well, Brooke, I know you had some great questions too.
Yeah.
I guess one of them, just for viewer standpoint and for my standpoint, I guess is from our standpoint as fans too. I know you've spoken to a lot of people, obviously. So honestly, who on the team, on the Blackhawks, have you found like the funnest to talk to or someone you really enjoy speaking with?
That's good.
Well, it had been Hagel because like I said, I'm a big fan of humor and insights into people's personalities. And Hagel had, just the best one-liners. They work for my stories. They work for Twitter, especially, the whole thing with chicken parm. And then you saw the thing about with his draft picks thing that went viral. NHL wanted the video, my video of that. And it's just an indication of his quick wit and just he cuts to the chase and he's just straightforward. From an informational standpoint, I appreciate Connor Murphy's candor. He just really breaks things down, doesn't sugarcoat it. I think on the offensive side, Tyler Johnson is like that too.
I thought you might bring him up, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are some of the names that to come to mind foremost.
Yeah, from a fan standpoint, I probably picked them too, to be honest. And I haven't spoken to them, but they seem like players that you would get some good stuff out of. They seem like really good people on top of it too.
Yes, and of course, Kane and Taves, they've been around. They can break things down as well. There are times where you feel like there's candor, and then there's times where you feel like, okay, they know the game, they know how to work their way around a question without really giving away too much. If they don't feel like giving away too much at that time. So but that's to be expected.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they get kind of the recycled cliche answers sometimes. Yeah,
they're wily veterans.
Yeah, exactly.
Wily
nothing less.
The wily veteran.
Yes, exactly.
Brooke, did you want to? You had one other question, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
I guess my final question was, because I've been at the Hockey Writers for about 2 years now. I've kind of seen the demand for sports writing kind of go up since I've been here. I feel like there's more of an interest in it than there probably was in the past. I don't know if I'm correct about that. That's just my observation. So I guess from where you are standing right now, what advice would you give to aspiring sports writers, hockey writers, people that want to be in your position?
I would say just have your own voice, trust in your opinions, think differently. Don't just try to parrot. And I think that's especially key now in the social media world. People that can look at stories in an unconventional way and not just the traditional quote unquote newspaper way, because there's a lot of sources for that. A lot of that can even be automated. Teams are even telling you, like, if you're just looking for the basics, I don't think you're going to get very far these days.
Yeah, I love that. Have your own voice. I totally agree with that. Everyone is so unique and different and has their own perspective. And once you bring that to something, that can really take you far. And I love that.
And let's face it, that's kind of why you choose to follow somebody on Twitter or to read their article, because you're kind of like, oh yeah, I wonder what they have to say. And you want to try to think outside of the box. So yeah, that's cool. Thank you for the insight. Well, we should probably wrap it up here, but first I want to just plug, and I already did, but you guys, if you don't follow Phil already, you should. Okay. At _Phil _Thompson, right?
Yes.
And like I said, he's awesome with these videos. He's always getting the player videos, and they're usually, I don't know, they're just clips, right? I mean, right, they're usually under 2 minutes or.
Yes, under 2 minutes. Yeah. And by the way, you asked earlier, I'm always getting teased by the other writers for these videos, man.
But I love them though.
Oh, thank you.
But it's like, that's your out of the box. That's like your thing.
That's your. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's playful teasing, and it comes from a good place. I know John Dietz from the Daily Herald likes to ride me a lot about that. So I got him back by taking a video of him and tweeting it.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I know
love that.
Bring it.
he kind of did like the after game videos for a while. I'm not sure if that really caught on or if he's still doing it, but yeah, the video clips of the players, because everybody kind of gives their quotes, but then to actually see them say it and to see like the intonation and of how they're saying it, sometimes can go a lot longer than just the quote.
It does. Sometimes you have to see the context of how they said it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my barometer for what to put in video, not just video for video's sake.
It makes for honest journalism, for sure.
Yes,
right. I love it.
Well, for our final topic here, not Blackhawks related, but we can't ignore the fact that there's a Stanley Cup Final going on. As a matter of fact, we're recording Monday night, as most of you that listen and follow us know. So we do not know the outcome of Game 3, which is on in a little bit. But that makes it even more fun. We've got, as we know, Colorado Avalanche and Tampa Bay Lightning, Stanley Cup Final. Avalanche up 2-0 in the series, dominating 7-0 shutout win last Saturday night. I didn't expect them to be this dominant so far, but then again, let's remember the Rangers were up 2-0 as well against the Lightning. So what would you say? What are your predictions? How many games and who wins the Stanley Cup? Phil?
Well, I agree with your assessment. People have already forgotten that, they took the first game 1 to overtime. And you look at that 7-0 score and think, oh yeah, the Avalanche are just going to steamroll the Lightning. But, us hockey fans all know that anything can unravel in a game and just kind of snowball. And they had a lot of penalties. They put themselves in bad situations. I think that they can, and they're a savvy team that's been in this position before.
Yeah.
They won cups, obviously. So, back to that. So
yeah.
I think they can right the ship if they can keep possession, stay out of the box, don't give the Avalanche any extra opportunities. That said, I think I still have the Avalanche winning in 7 games.
Oh, 7. We'll go all the way to 7, you think, huh? Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. What are your thoughts,
Okay.
Brooke?
Yeah, Brooke, what do you say?
Do you know what? I'm actually rooting for the Avalanche. Only I don't mind Tampa. It's more like just nice to see new blood kind of in the mix. But here's the thing. I was actually worried about this series actually going in Tampa's favor only because of Vasilevsky and because they just seem to hang around in there. Just can't count them out ever. But after seeing the way the Avalanche have done, although the series is far from over, for sure, I'm going to say the Avalanche in 6. I don't think that there'll be a sweep here. I know that the Avalanche have only lost 2 games in the whole playoffs so far. They don't lose very often, but Tampa's the one team that are just pesky. They're just always involved. So I do see a couple wins in there. I don't think there'll be a straight 4-game sweep there, but yeah, I'll go 6. I'll go Avalanche in 6.
I was thinking Avalanche in 6, but I really think it's their year this year, you guys. And I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say Avalanche in 5. I think the Tampa Bay will get just 1 game.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad prediction.
Yeah, they're just so strong and they look so good, and I can see them just steamrolling their way. We'll see.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, Gail throwing up the bomb.
Yeah, good.
So we have 5, 6, or 7. So we're gonna have to regroup about this on Twitter or something.
We'll win
right?
in 5, and Gail will be like, "I told you, I was right."
All right, you guys. Well, that's a wrap on tonight's episode 81 Marian Hossa episode. Thank you so much, Phil, for being with us. This was really insightful and awesome. Thank you, obviously, as well, Brooke. And until next time.